Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Well, thank you so much for including me in your incredible world. I feel just so blessed that you've done that. And I'm hoping that all the women out there have grabbed their cup of coffee because I have mine. What I have to tell is a little bit on the sad side, but wait, get through it. And you're going to come out the other end and realize how wonderful it was. I was married quite unhappily to a very abusive, narcissistic man, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I was coming back to New York from Atlanta at this autumn night that was just so beautiful and so just clear, and it was late, and I opened my apartment door, and we always kept lights on, and I was plunged into pitch darkness. And I didn't know at that moment if I should be calling 911. I didn't know what was going on. And then I saw the ember from the end of his cigar where he was sitting far away from me on a sofa. And then I heard the clink of the ice in his crystal glass on his God only knows what number scotch he'd had at that point. And now my heart was pounding. I mean, I was always afraid of him, but now my heart was jumping out of my chest. And out of the darkness, he said, I've heard it for the last time in Atlanta that you're going to get a divorce, which I must have said to one person. And he said, you're going for counseling or divorce. And I knew that he would never do the counseling, or if he did it, he would. I just said, I take divorce. So that's when I really made up my mind that I was going to exit this marriage, and with no planning, no organization, no idea of what I was doing. That was a 3-year odyssey, 2.5, 3-year odyssey before I could even get him out of my bed. He wouldn't get out of my bed. He was so aggressive. But there's so much that went just so frighteningly wrong. Yes, I got screwed. Frankly, I got screwed. Yes, I lost everything I owned. Yes, I lost my eponymous label, Kleinberg Sherrill. He was the Kleinberg, I was the Sherrill. I lost the business, I lost everything. But what I did not lose is I did not lose me, and I did not lose my daughter. What I did lose was him. And I did want to get ready for him. But what I'm going to tell you today, if I had known what I know then, what I know now, I would be living a totally different life, or I would have lived a totally different life immediately after the divorce. So, yes, you can, I had no money really for an attorney. My friends had cobbled together some money for me. I hired a young guy. He had to pretty much drop me, after like 3 court appearances because, he desperately needed money. And my ex spent $250,000 fighting me off. So I came up with what I think is a really great way of looking at it. And I'm sure I'm stealing this from somebody like Nike, but it's do it. So do it. The D in do it is for diary. Now, every divorce lawyer is going to tell you to keep a diary. Oh, the children came back filthy. Oh, they didn't make it to the soccer game. Oh, in my case, I was court ordered that he had to give me $251 a week for my daughter and I to live on, and he wouldn't even leave that. So, you know, it's a record keeping thing that you're going to use ultimately with your attorney. But beyond that, the most important thing really of the diary, and yes, it's important in the sense that you do have these records and you do know what went on, and oh, the girlfriend was over there and she was running around naked. Whatever it is that he he might be violating, you know, all kinds of different terms and conditions. Most important is that you journal your feelings and keep in this book what you're doing. So you can refer back to it. And I'm going to tell you about when we're going to refer back to it the greatest at the end. So do it. DO. O is for outreach. So it's my 5x5 plan. You have 5 friends who you ask to reach out to 5 friends, preferably divorcees at that point. Hopefully, you might get 1 or 2 that happen to be in that same family court situation. You might find someone, beautiful miracle if you do, that had the same judge. So the 5x5, you're reaching out because you want to find out about, are there great mediators? Are there forensic accountants? I don't know if money is the issue and he's trying to destroy you that way, or if it's children, he's trying to threaten you with the children. Mine did both. So I was a complete mess, but I kept going. So don't forget about the O. The O is about outreach, and you are going to be shocked at how many free places there are to go and people there are to talk to. And if you have a little bit of money, the professionals that can help you, from forensic accountants to mediators to all the different characters that you find in a divorce. I knew none of this, none, and just instinctively I did reach out, and it did help me. And many divorcees that I've coached since then, are shocked that we find out that we all had the same judge. What are the odds in New York? So that's my O for do it. I is for investigate. Yes, you're going to become your own private investigator and you're going to be the best at it. You are going to investigate. Do you own your home? Did he transfer it to his cousin who works at Dairy Queen while you weren't paying attention? Does he have a life insurance policy? I know a woman brilliant woman who, just wanted out of the marriage and didn't realize that she would have gotten half of her husband's pension, half for the whole life. What a cushion that is for most of us to know that. But she walked away without knowing. So that's what you're going to do. Investigate, investigate. Where's the life insurance policy? What are provisions for the children? What's the children's health insurance? I know it seems daunting and I don't want to scare you. Make lists. Keep it simple. What you're going to do today, what you're going to do tomorrow. And my T on my do it is triumph, because what you're going to do when you do your outreach, you do your investigation, you're going to triumph over the system. You're going to find the right people that you need to meet that can help you along in your journey. And now we go back to the D and do it. Read back through that diary. See what you've achieved. If you have to go back out into the workforce, look at that diary the way an employer would. Wow, what did she manage to do? What did she manage to journal? What are your feelings? You may have a book in you. I did my diary and now have agents interested in it, doing it as a book, because it was very tragically stream of consciousness, and from rape to everything is in that book. And I had no idea when I was journaling. I was just, I am a writer. So I was going kind of like long and carrying on a little bit. But that wound up being the thing that intrigues these agents and these publishers. And, not that you're going to necessarily turn it into a book, although you could, but it's just that you have that reference point to see, I'm coming from here and I made it all the way to here. If it's a new career, if it's a pivot point, if it's a new husband, if it's your children out of the house and you're going on out your own, read your diary again and then read it again. And you are going to be amazed at what you can accomplish. You may have been put down. You may have been with classically with these narcissists, you know, they'll put you down. They'll, minimize anything that you've done in your life. They will try to, you know, literally strip away every ounce of self confidence you have. And look how in your diary you built back step by step by step. So you have your diary, do your 5 by 5, and believe it or not, people are often so helpful because they've been through the tragedy of divorce themselves. And divorce in modern times is a tragedy. So you're going to go back to that. Well, hello there.
Hello, Marsha. Oh my gosh, what a journey you have been on. When I'm listening to you speak, I wish I had met you when I was going through my stuff.
Right,
This is a
right.
message that so many women need to know, just how to be strategic when you are navigating these
Yes.
life-changing events. Now, wow, you
I know,
said
and it seems so scary, but it's not scary if you break it down into little nuggets, the same way you would approach being the president of the PTA. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? You got to organize a cakewalk, and you've got to organize this. So I tell people, just please don't be overwhelmed. Just realize that you're going to get it done, and it's going to go much quicker than you think,
yeah.
and you'll have all this power that I didn't have, that you didn't have.
That's true. So, how did it feel for you to suddenly have your security and your identity stripped away?
Oh, I mean, I recounted in the book, and it is literally like it is heart pounding and gut wrenching because literally I lived with fear was my companion. I
Mm,
woke up in fear, I went to bed in fear, and it's no way to live. And you
no,
don't have to do it. You don't have to struggle if you just get the help that you need. I could, if I'd worked harder, I could have proven that he owned a wholly separate company from our company, and yet I couldn't prove it because I didn't know the resources to get where to go to find out if his social security number was associated with any other business. It's a simple thing. I
oh,
didn't
wow.
know it.
Yeah, yeah. And these are the things that women should be aware of. Now, you said that he took everything, but he
Yes.
couldn't take you.
No.
What does that mean for women who are listening to us right now?
Well, a lot of times what you'll find is that, narcissist or non-narcissist, they want to cling to you. And the fact that there's a divorce, whether you instigated or he rushed in there and instigated it when he found out you were unhappy like mine, and I need to have some bladder surgery, which he would never let me take 2 days off from work to have bladder surgery. So anyway, um, it's a natural sort of progression thing, and you just have to remember you're going to come out the other end of it. Okay, it's
Mm,
not forever. All
yeah.
that that sinking feeling in your stomach where it's like, just complete fear, almost as if you've encountered like a lion on the road, and that's what
Mm,
they want. That's what they want to happen,
yeah.
and they're going to destroy you Shiva like no matter what. He did not get me. He did not. His scare tactic was to get my child. He did not get my child. Joint custody. I'm shaking going into mediator's office, and I'm like, I'm a designer, and I sleep till noon, and I take Benadryl, and she's like, finally at the end of it, she's like, Marcia, don't worry, the Benadryl defense is not going to work. It's like, oh,
Oh,
I
wow.
was so scared because I was taking Benadryl. How
Oh,
silly of me.
that's so sad. So, what was the hardest part of rebuilding your life after losing everything?
Well, I had to really reboot. And so, I had to start my own business, and I did do consulting. So I learned, and women out there need to learn this, that, here I am, I'm a designer, on today's show, and blah, 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 hundreds of appearances on TV, hundreds of magazine columns. But where do I go? Where's their job? So I knew I had
Yeah.
to create my own business, which I did, and I did shopping TV in America, China, kind of all over the world. selling these less expensive bags named after my daughter, Annabelle by Marcia Sherrill. And then
Wow.
COVID hit and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I got back to where now I'm back in the luxury business. And so he's actually my competitor now. And
Oh,
my belts
wow.
are better and they're a lot less expensive. So,
I love it. Now, you mentioned that fear can paralyze us during a crisis.
yes.
How did you learn to act despite that fear?
I tell people pick up a pen. I know you're scared. Maybe you will write one word down. Pick up a
Yes.
pen or get your computer out. You may type up just one little thing, but you'd be surprised how you go long, especially with my 5x5 because you're talking to women and taking notes at the same time. Oh, I forgot to mention that. Keeping notes at the same time, lists of
Yeah.
recommendations. You know what? It's all from picking up the pen or opening the computer. Action. It's all
Yeah.
about action.
I love it. We've got somebody chiming in here on YouTube. Elle Brown, thank you for chiming in. She's saying, great podcast. I love that.
Thank you so much.
Now, how
Definitely,
did you?
definitely coming from the heart. Definitely coming from the heart.
So, Marsha, how did you transform your pain into purpose through writing and advocacy?
Well, what I did is I started Victory Over Divorce, and I was on the Today Show talking about Victory Over Divorce. And I went out, and we have a videographer that we use for another business. And I said, let's go video some experts. And so we went out and we interviewed a handful of experts, and we're adding more in the upcoming months. We're adding more, and so it became sort of like my passion. And then also the journaling and realizing it could be a book. I had at the time written a book called Shiksa, Getting in Touch with Your Inner Jew, and everybody loved it. But it was for pre-Kindle, so it really didn't have a market. And my agent at ICM was like, "Well, do you have anything else?" And I said, "Well, I have this divorce memoir, kind of." And she was like, I said, "Oh, I can clean it up." She was like, "No, no, no, don't clean it up. Send it to me before you go to any effort." And I sent it to her, and she literally said that she wept at certain parts, and at other parts, she just laughed. So I knew that I had a book in me.
Yeah, that is awesome. So, can you share how your background as a designer and an author helped you to reinvent yourself? It's like you
Well,
redesigned your whole life here.
I did. I redesigned my whole life. Well, I think the fact that I had done it once on the in the luxury market, I felt the confidence that I could do it again and do it a little differently, do it kind of my way. And
Yeah.
so I felt I had confidence on that. Now, landing this major consulting gig for a decade long consulting gig was just, force of will. I was the editor of a magazine called To the Trade, and they were
Right.
closing, but they were doing a last issue. I said only if I can interview this guy that owns this website, First Dibs. And I went in, and he was doing just a modest amount of business and hiring me. Everybody in the company later likened it to like pouring kerosene on a fire because I made
Wow.
all the contacts with all the interior design editors I knew, all the charities I knew in that space, and so I really created in 10 years this whole other, sort of expertise going back to what I started doing when I was young, which was
Yes.
interior design. And that led to me being on television from Lifetime to CBS to to Today Show, talking about interior design. So I became like, this fashion designer that was also an interior designer. So
That's so crazy.
you're going to be surprised. I tell divorcees this all the time. You're going to be surprised at what comes down the transom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That you never expected, right?
Yeah, I always tell women that sometimes when you feel like you've hit rock bottom, get excited because the only way from there is up. There's something coming, there's something magical that happens when you hit that worst point in your life.
There is. There's something that comes through, whether you believe it's, God or you believe it's universal will or whatever. Things are going to come your way and they're going to
Yeah.
be completely unexpected. And we have to remember to be thankful for those things because,
Yeah.
who would think that I, as a fashion designer, would have ever wound up on this antique dealer website and helped build it in 10 years to a $150 million business?
That's
So,
crazy.
I mean, I know it's just the owner and I and a part timer, and we just worked like, you know, he was paying me as a consultant, but I think I was still putting in like 80 hours a week with him. He couldn't go any, he needed a lot of hand holding.
Now, you've appeared on major shows like the Today Show, the Good Day Atlanta. How did media visibility impact your healing journey?
Well, I think the fact that I was able to share, like I told you, I did it on a personal level. So
Yeah.
friends of friends of friends doing the 5 by 5 rule would get in touch with me and say, this woman needs help. And, or, it got to a point where I couldn't keep doing one-on-ones, but I said, I'll do
Mhm.
groups. And so I did, like, 10 divorcees at a time. And one time I did 10 divorcees and they were like, we're suing our judge. And I said, I don't think you could sue a sitting judge. And they said, no, we're doing a class action suit because she's so obviously biased against women. And I'm like, who was
Oh,
that? My judge.
oh, are you serious?
Yes, my judge. And they were like, do
Oh,
you want to join the class action suit? And at that point, I was really busy with all the other stuff I had going on. And so I said no. But yeah, so it wound up being, I mean, literally, that was such a moment of validation for me, and horrible that these women had to go through it. But it validated what I had said all along, is that she was really a men's advocate, not a women's advocate.
didn't stand for women at all.
Right.
Wow.
Really, loathing.
So
And,
at least you came out of this on top. You seem to have a knack of doing that, though.
right. I have an ability. It's sort of like when I did my very first book, the breast cancer book, and people were like, "You don't know anything about this," and I'm like, "Well, I've been writing and interviewing people for years. I mean, try to get a word in edgewise when you're talking to me, but I can actually listen." And so, I just powered through. And I had
Right.
Nancy Reagan, Betty Ford, Julia Child, black, white, gay, straight, men, women in my for the breast cancer book. Followed that up with a fashion book, which was like the people behind the scenes in fashion, like Bernard Arnault. He owns LVMH, and so photographers, just all the people, the stylists that go, all the different people besides designers that make fashion happen. And
Yes.
so, I think I just sort of had always had this kind of like, Nietzsche says a will to power. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I was the lowest I've ever been with that
So
divorce. I
crazy.
remember being in the emergency room in Birmingham with my daughter screaming from swimmer's ear and calling him and asking him for the insurance card, and he wouldn't give it to me.
Wow.
He wanted me to pay out of pocket and he never reimbursed me. And it was literally like every penny we had. And I told my daughter, we're going to have to go to the Redneck Riviera for vacation because we can't go on these lavish, month
Mm.
long stays in Jamaica. And she'd want to go, and she wound up having the time of her life. So
Oh, that's good.
I said,
So
wait
you
for
really
it.
had to adjust your whole lifestyle change. So what role did community and sisterhood play in your recovery and growth?
Huge, huge. I mean, I just cannot even tell you how kind people were to me. I mean, I
Mm.
wasn't being as methodical as I want my divorcees to be, but
Yeah.
I was getting help from women and I was getting uplift from women. I remember when I told my friends I going through a divorce and I need $15,000 as a retainer and don't know what I'm going to do. And one called the other, and there were four of them or three of them at my house
Wow.
writing $5,000 checks, and they wouldn't even take repayment.
Serious.
They were like, Marcia, you've done so much for me. You've designed my house. Marcia, you've done so much for me here. I don't want money back. No, no, no. None of them would take a penny back.
Wow. That's
They
just
got
incredible. But that's a testament to you and the person that you were being prior to all of this happening. That doesn't just happen to anyone. You
no,
had impacted on their lives and they were grateful for that.
so
That is
grateful.
so
I had
beautiful.
no I you know I had no idea. fully intended on paying them back. Little did I know that I'd be left in, complete poverty. But I had the best of intentions, and like I could have given them product or whatever. $5,000 bags,
Mhm.
whatever that. But the fact that they all showed up, and I remember we sat on the back steps. These buildings in New York have the regular steps as you enter, and then they have what were the old, I guess, maid steps or whatever. And I
Right.
was sitting out there, bad girl. I took back up smoking and my two dogs, and I'm sitting out there at 10 o'clock at night, and one showed up, and another showed up, and another showed up. And they
Wow.
sat there on the staircase with me, and they
Yeah.
let me cry, and they let me shake, and they held me, and they told me how much they loved me. And then they all got out their checkbooks, obviously, but they all got out their, friends of friends. It wasn't 5 by 5, but they did call friends.
I love it. Now,
Yeah.
end our interview with two last questions.
Okay.
They're a bit of a thought experiment. In the first one, I'm going to teleport you back to the younger you,
Okay.
to that young woman who was going through a storm and not able to see the wood from the trees. Just
Right.
in case there's a woman who's listening to us right now, if you could go back and give her three nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you up until this point, what would those three nuggets of wisdom be?
Your greatest fear will not happen. You will not lose custody of your child. You will not, face financial ruin. So, whatever is your biggest fear, quash it now because it's not going to happen. You've been intimidated into thinking that it's going to happen. Number two, I would say, record keeping. And I'm not telling you to turn into an accountant, but you're going to need to keep records. What's going on, different days, different weeks, you know, and you give yourself a framework and let it be time. It's chronological, it's easy. The third thing I would say is treat yourself. So you're in the middle of the worst battle of your life. And I'm including, people that have gone through other devastating things. But when your children are involved and your livelihood is involved, it's devastating. Treat yourself. Go out with your friends and go to a movie because you can get subsumed by this and let it
Yeah.
be too much a part of your life. And don't stop. Get on a dating app. It
Yes.
doesn't matter if you're not divorced yet.
Yeah.
Get on a dating app. Start realizing other men out there could love you.
Oh, I
You
love
probably
that.
I mean, so many of these women have been told that no one will love them. I was told that 100 times. I'm sure I heard that.
Oh, man. My last question for you is futuristic this time. And I'm going to teleport you to go and have a conversation with the 90-year-old you. And she is sitting in her rocking chair, surrounded by her children. But knowing you, you'll probably be on a dance floor somewhere on your feet. But if you could go and meet this wise woman who has led you up until this point, Marcia, what will you say to her when you finally meet her? And I'll tell you why I like asking women this question. A lot of women don't realize that the wise woman exists already in us.
Right.
She is
Yeah.
that whisper that says, leave this marriage. It's not good for you. Go left, go right, say yes, say no. But we always look outside of ourselves for answers and solutions, but the answers are within. So, what will you say to your wise woman when you finally meet her?
Well, we have had an incredible ride. We have done the most exciting things. We have, you know, did you know or did you have an inkling that everything was going to be just so exciting? And you know, I don't really even think back on the divorce. What I think back on as an older woman is, wow, you really lived. You're just a little girl from Alabama and the wilds of Alabama, and boy, did you lead an exciting life.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think you will thank her for all of those decisions that she made that have
Yes.
led you to this point. So, Marcia, is there anything else I should have asked you and I didn't?
No, you pretty much covered everything. I think I just, I guess my one, serious takeaway, because I went through it, is do not fear that you will lose your children. Do not listen to him saying you're crazy, you're going to lose your children. You take Benadryl, you're going to lose your children. Realize that these words they say about a child or a business or you'll be financially ruined, these are just weapons in their arsenal, okay? Their bow
Mm,
and arrow, their quiver, they're pulling that back and
yeah.
shooting all that fear at you. Stop listening.
Mm. Oh, wow. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you so much. And
Thank
thank
you.
you to everybody who tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We are a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So if you are a woman who is navigating divorce right now, here are some amazing tips and ideas to help you get through the storm. Or if you know another woman who is going through this challenge, please share this podcast. Pass it around through your social media platforms. Women need to be prepared. They need the arsenal when they face these battles that engulf us and sometimes paralyze us so we don't make the right decisions. Marcia, thank you again for everything.
Thank you. It was so beautifully put. Thank you so much.
I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And bye for now. Marcia, don't go away. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story. Absolutely.